Today, Kill la Kill. If you like watching a show of this magnitude, I only have one question for you. Explosions? Now, let's start with the obvious, okay? Many people like to compare today's show to that of Gurren Lagann. Now, why is that, besides, the obvious fact of who made it? My theory, if you recall my review of Gurren Lagann about a year or so ago, is that Lagann is so unique that we needed to come up with our own word to describe it. Kill la Kill is the same way, except instead of having to come up with a completely new word from scratch, we can just use the same one. Stufective. It's stupid, yet effective. Lagann blazed its own trail and might as well have created its own genre for being so unique. Because of this, it's not surprising that Kill la Kill gets compared to it, because it's basically following the same path. Both have colorful explosions, a nonsensical plot, and female characters who barely wear any clothing. Yada yada yada. But I do have to wonder if it actually is stufective, like its predecessor. Now, it is indeed, well, stupid. If you think the series has anything intellectual besides the sheer amount of brainpower required to come up with a plot like this in the first place, you're going to be sorely disappointed. But is it effective? Well, that's something we're going to try to figure out before the verdict. Ladies, gentlemen, and others, my name is Arcada, and welcome to Glass Reflection. Today, Studio Trigger's Kill la Kill. Let's jam! Welcome to the world of Kill la Kill, Saka, where the student council president's word is law. And making sense does not matter. Yes, making sense is like a Venus flytrap with balloons for teeth. You just make it up on the spot as you go. We start off in the totalitarian-run school of Honnouji Academy, where Kyururin Satsuki rules with an iron fist. Her rule is reinforced by sets of clothing she had created, known as Goku uniforms, which she gives to the students she finds worthy. These uniforms give the wearer superpowered strength that is far greater than what they have on their own. But to stop any kind of uprising from occurring, she makes sure that her most loyal subjects have the most powerful uniforms. Enter our main character and transfer student, Matori Ryuko. Ryuko is fresh on the trail of her father's murder, which has led her to the academy to confront Satsuki. But Satsuki, after doing everything but outright admitting to murdering Ryuko's dad, ignoring the fact that we, the viewer, see a flashback of a female figure that looks identical to Satsuki fleeing from the crime scene, so it, couldn't possibly be anybody else. Pause for effect. She forces Ryuko to fight her way up the school's pecking order of badasses, giving her hope that, eventually, the answers will be revealed. Granted, as expected with these kinds of shows, the story at the beginning is rarely the whole picture. Over time, the plot evolves into an explosion fest that exponentially scales into a battle that has the fate of the entire human race on the line. And that's pretty badass. Not gonna lie. Let's change segments. Now, a good thing about a show like this is that its characters are pretty straightforward. Ryuko wants to avenge her dad and will do whatever she has to in order to do so, even if that means finding a set of demonic-like clothing in her basement that transforms her into the most skimpily dressed magical girl in history. By the way, Kill la Kill is a magical girl anime. Don't know if I mentioned that yet. You can agree with me, or you can just, deal with it. Anyway, the main development that occurs to Ryuko is when she ignores the advice given to her by the show's music, of all things. You see, when she does something particularly badass, some awesome music kicks in with the lyrics that say, "Don't lose your way." And try to guess what she does constantly throughout the entire series. She loses her way. It might as well be the subtitle of the show. Kill la Kill, lose your way. But it's in losing her way that she grows as a character, and it would be beautiful if I could get over her outfit. Heck, her demonic-like outfit is its own character, though while he speaks, he doesn't do much. Senketsu, as she calls him, occasionally acts as a voice of reason when Ryuko starts to go overboard. He gives what advice he can, even though everything is as new to him as it is to Ryuko. Now, Satsuki's character is a little less straightforward, mainly because her motive for everything she does is shrouded in mystery until about 3/4 of the way through the show. Really, as a character, she can be boiled down to just someone who does not want to be proven wrong. She's stubborn with her beliefs and thinks that what she does is the best way to accomplish her goals, whatever those happen to be. Of course, it takes someone like Ryuko to show her otherwise, but it's that stubbornness that's basically Satsuki's family in a nutshell, and it actually reminds me of a joke I heard once. There once was a man from Nantucket. I forget the rest, but her mother's a whore. Beyond those two, the secondary characters introduced all have ranging personalities, usually distinguished by the various superpowers that their uniforms give them. And while I could go into detail about each of them, it's probably better that you witness their insanity for yourself, though I will spare mention for Mako, Ryuko's one and only real friend. Mako is an enigma wrapped up in a big old ball of unfiltered energy that she releases as the token comic relief character. Now, normally I dislike token comic relief characters, mainly because they hold no purpose and are usually shoehorned in. Not Mako, though. Hell, she even has a badass moment of awesome in episode 7 that I would talk more about, but we don't talk about episode 7. Mako is brilliant, and if you don't think so, if the over-the-top insanity of the plot is considered the show's worst part, then the animation could be considered its best. But only sometimes. The overall quality of the animation changes from episode to episode, going from something pretty cool to something I can't even describe with words. Overall, though, let's be honest, it's okay, but we've seen better. And now let's take a moment here to talk about the fan service, because if we don't talk about it here, we never will. On the subject of Ryuko's outfit, if I really stretch my imagination, I can sort of come up with a reason as to why it is the way it is. In traditional magical girl style, she is dressed up rather skimpily. Though, to be fair, this goes beyond what any other magical girl series would do. But in those other shows, the girls involved never really seem to care or be embarrassed by what they are wearing. In Kill la Kill, embarrassment is a factor, and if you are too embarrassed, it actually lessens your power. While I admit that's a really cool twist and all, let's be honest here. The reason why these outfits are the way they are is because the artists thought to themselves, I wonder, just how far will cosplayers go? Shout out to Hideo Kojima. Now, in terms of music, oddly enough, I never found the high-octane musical tracks to really have that much of an effect on me. Sure, I can have Don't Lose Your Way stuck in my head for hours, but having 4 words constantly repeated over and over in your head kinda loses its shine after a while. That is not to say that the soundtrack is shit, as the individual character themes are, quite frankly, frigging awesome. And on top of that, there is one track worth mentioning specifically, Blumenkrantz, which stands as sort of the villain theme for the entire series and easily my favorite song from the entire soundtrack. Mainly for being one of the best pure villain themes that I've heard in a long time. That one track alone definitely takes the cake over either of the show's 2 opening and ending themes. Compared to the character themes though, the random quote-unquote battle music just isn't as good, though that might just be because apparently I have shit taste in music, as watchers of my Samurai Champloo review keep telling me. There are anime out there where you really need to turn your brain off to enjoy them properly, and this is definitely one of them. It doesn't make you try to think about its deep storyline or its compelling narrative. Its selling points are its complete insanity and its over-the-top way of doing things, which makes it brilliant popcorn material. Wait, hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. I've been reading off my Gurren Lagann review script for the last few sentences. It's funny how my thoughts on these 2 series mirror each other on a very basic level. Honestly though, if it wasn't for the cringe-worthy fan service, I would probably find a lot more to like about this series. Now, I am thankful that the fan service isn't all one-sided. We do have some pleasant man service in there for whoever happens to stick around that long to see it. But even then, it's never really to the same amount, which is kind of depressing because it makes it feel like there's no real meaning behind any of it. It feels as though the fan service is just there to be fan service, and while yes, that's kind of the point, that's not really what I personally like to see. Other people may have different thoughts though. Or if you want to look at it another way, you could argue that the fan service is the focal point, and everything else is just sort of there to build around it, which, now that I think about it, considering the ultimate destination of the plot and so forth, kind of makes a lot of sense, actually. I wouldn't call this series deep like I've seen other people try to, nor would I consider it the savior of anime, like anime needed a savior. What it is a fairly decent yet overhyped action series that goes in a direction that not many others would tread. It knows popular anime tropes and how to subvert them in its own unique way, which makes it highly entertaining, if nothing else. And so, with all that in mind, I've meticulously calculated values for the categories of story, characters, animation, sound, and my own personal enjoyment, which, after wrapping it up in barely enough cloth to cover itself before throwing it into the sun, has me awarding Kill la Kill with an overall score of 7.16 out of 10 and an overall recommendation to stream it rather than buy. As with most action and heavily fan-service shows, your mileage may vary, and it's not my belief that the show has enough on its own to warrant a buy. However, due to its entertainment value and somewhat buried concepts, it's not worth tossing either, which leaves it up to you as to whether or not you want to attempt to watch it. Or not. Start off with the first few episodes, and if the new Goku uniform of the week plot lines that the show starts off with don't bore you, you should be fine. At the time of this video, Kill la Kill has been licensed by Aniplex of America, though, like many of the shows they hold the rights to, we are unsure if they actually plan to release the show in North America, or even dub it. Thankfully, though, the series is available for legal streaming over on Crunchyroll if you happen to have access to that site. And if you click on the link in the description, glassreflection.net/Crunchyroll, you can sign up for a free trial of their premium services and all the anime awesomeness that it contains. Not that you need premium to watch Kill la Kill at present, but it's still an option. For alternate anime recommendations, I point you towards the much-referenced Gurren Lagann. No surprise there. Also, I can point you towards something else that is the Gainax's favorite FLCL, which is equally screwed in the head at times, while being thoroughly enjoyable. Between those two, you should find something to your liking. And that's it from me. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video, follow me on Twitter if you feel so inclined, and until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, stay frosty.